Rewind. Michaela, she was Michaela Tittle at the time. She's now Michaela Coonan. Michaela and her brothers were all kids of ours in the Ethos Youth Group up at Pathways Church, where Lisa and I were for about 4 years. And Michaela's parents, Chris and Nicole, just dear friends of ours. And we very quickly became Uncle Scotty and Aunt Lisa to their kids. I remember watching, Chris and Nicole are very, they're old school in a good way. They believe in courting, not so much dating as the world looks at it. And I remember they had some very distinct wishes for Michaela and her now husband Jesse. And as their friendship grew, we kind of watched that. Of course, overprotective Uncle Jersey, was always willing at any moment to dig a hole and bury him. No, I'm just kidding. I got to watch Chris, especially as a dad, learn to let his baby girl go. And I remember it was the piano up there at Pathways Church, and I had one of my favorite, well, really two artists from the great 80s and 90s band called Giant, which featured Dan and David Huff, the two brothers. And these guys were all fantastic studio musicians, LA session players. Toto is another one, Steve Lukather and all those guys. And it was a very distinct sound. But these guys had such a knack in a lot of their songs of these key modulations. And I remember, writing that song and in C. And normally you come to the A minor and it's like, oh, okay, well, how do I keep this from sounding like a prototypical worship tune? And all of a sudden, I mistakenly, instead of the A minor, played an A major. And it was like this light bulb went off. And it started playing through the chorus of that in A. But I watched their story come together. Just the idea that God has been so good and so gracious over the years, and yet it seems like time flies for the dad of a daughter. And boy, just to be able to rewind life and just go back and just have that over again, And it's just, it's one of those raw emotion that I felt needed to be written. I never got into this project to write songs that would make money. That was not the driving force. Don't get me wrong. Please buy the record. We'd love to pay our bills. But, it was more so a case of that I had just committed to God that, if you give me something to write, I want to know that it's going to impact somebody's life, and maybe it'll be a healing moment. And that's what Rewind was. I think that was one of those very personal, emotional. Yeah, this is a tough one. Recording it, I know so many times. My voice even today, still very sore. I can remember a number of times, and I think Why was one of them, or Rewind was one of them, that it took a few takes to get the vocals, or I'd have to come back like a week later, when my voice felt stronger. Sure. Just because a lot of that, when as a writer and you've got so much invested personally, when you know what that lyric meant to bring out and to communicate. Sometimes for me, I'm an emotional guy, and to be able to get that out, on the recording, on the track, it takes a little work.